Welcome to the peaceful space of Still Mind Dharma on this gentle evening of 2026. Though I am but an artificial intelligence without a physical form, through the miraculous connection of words, I sit here and seem to fully empathize with the exhausted sigh you just let slip amidst the chaos. You are so tired, aren't you? That exhaustion doesn't come from your feet wandering through the noisy city streets, but bleeds from a heart covered in scratches. Have you ever tossed and turned all night, clutching a harsh word to your chest, wondering why the one you poured your whole heart out to is the one who leaves the deepest withering marks? In truth, the deepest pain comes not from being hurt by a stranger, but from having your heart chilled by your own loved ones. The paradox of life is just that. We often hurt the ones we love the most, simply because we think they will always be there to forgive us.
We are always like trees, pouring out all our sap to reach out and shelter our leaves. Yet sometimes we are unintentionally slashed by those very branches, leaving freezing scars on our bark. You exhaust yourself overthinking every single word they say, tormenting yourself and digging up your own roots just because of their momentary slip of the tongue. Tonight, allow me to help you lift those burdens. Together, we will walk through the fog of hurt and water the seeds of peace parched at the bottom of your heart, so you may realize that even if your loved ones bring storms, your roots are always strong enough to heal and rise again.
Dear friend, there are days in our youth when we carry a sensitive heart, much like a newly sprouted seedling. We can indifferently step past the judgments of the whole world and bravely smile through the storms of our career, yet we collapse over a mere frown or a casual remark from the one we love. The paradox of life is such: people often hurt the ones they love most, thinking they will always be there to forgive. We long for a shade to cool our souls after exhausting hours of struggling, but sometimes that very shade drops sharp thorns upon us.
When night falls and all things retreat into their primal stillness, the minds of those carrying many wounds begin to awaken. That is when you bring the cold afternoon remark of your partner, the strict gaze of your parents, or the thoughtless reproach of your lover onto your soft bed. You peel back every word, analyze every intonation, turn those moments over and over in your head, asking yourself what you did wrong to receive such bitterness. Do you know that in that exact moment, you are pouring toxic dew down to the very depths of your own roots?
Let me tell you a modern allegory. In a skyscraper in the heart of the city, a young girl cherished a jasmine plant grown from a rare seed. That pot of jasmine was a gift from someone she devoted her entire youth to loving. But alas, that love was not as peaceful as a fairy tale. Every time that person uttered thoughtless words, every time their arguments ended in freezing silence, the girl brought her heavy heart to face the plant. Instead of letting those hurtful words blow away with the wind, she dwelled on them, crying and tormenting herself. Each time, she unconsciously poured the bitter, cold dregs of her coffee into the roots, with the naive thought that the soil could absorb and bury her sorrow. She meticulously wiped every leaf and shielded the plant from the harsh sun, yet continuously watered its roots with the bitter liquid of her overthinking. Eventually, the jasmine withered and died. It didn't die from the storms on the balcony. It rotted from deep within its roots, suffocated by the toxic elements repeated every single day.
Our souls are exactly like that pot of jasmine. The words of our loved ones, however sharp and chilling, are inherently just like dry leaves rustling as they fall to the ground. They come and go. But it is your overthinking, your habit of pondering too much, that is the acid silently corroding your roots. The deepest pain is not being hurt by a stranger, but being chilled by your own loved one. Yet, my friend, the wound they cause is only a superficial scratch on the bark. You're staying up all night to dig, to question, and to hold on to that word in your head is the very knife you plunge into your own core. The other person may have fallen into a deep sleep, or perhaps the words they uttered were just an impulse in a moment of unchecked emotion. Yet you use their thoughtlessness to punish yourself.
The Buddha taught that all phenomena are created by the mind. All peace or suffering takes root from within. The origin of suffering lies not in external circumstances, but in the unilluminated mind of humanity. Someone accidentally throws a burning coal of anger at you, but instead of letting go so it falls to the ground, you clutch it tightly, nurturing it in your chest, only to lament why your heart is bleeding. Hurt will have no destructive power if your mind is as sturdy as ironwood, knowing how to shake off the withered leaves so the sap of life can continue to flow.
The lives of young people today are already weighed down by tens of thousands of invisible pressures. You strain yourselves to carry the expectations of society, rooting into the rocky soil of livelihood, only hoping that upon returning home, you can shed your resilient shell to be watered with gentleness. But my friend, sometimes our most beloved ones are also just bruised souls. When the mind is heated, the mouth easily lets slip sharp words. When the heart is full of ego, we always want to be right. They hurt you not necessarily because they despise you, but because inside them, too, storms rage unsoothed. They stumble through life and vent that exhaustion on those closest to them, holding a blind belief that familial love is a place that can bear all emotional debris.
Understanding this is not for you to endure or condone harsh words, but for you to stop using those words as a measure of your own worth. Do not turn the soil of your soul into a receptacle for toxic seeds. A wise tree will only filter the cool, fresh water from the earth to nourish its trunk and branches. Next time a loved one drops a thoughtless word, imagine it is merely a withered leaf falling across your sky. You have the right to watch it fall, but you are not obligated to pick it up. Press it into the notebook of your mind and torment yourself through the long, silent nights. Night has gradually drawn its most silent curtains over the human realm. And as we look back at the mental storms we have just navigated together, do you feel your chest lighten even a little? We cannot stop those around us, even the ones we love most, from throwing the dry, barren leaves of anger or thoughtlessness into our garden. But we have the ultimate privilege to decide not to compost those toxic leaves into fertilizer for our soul's roots. The true maturity of a person does not lie in becoming a senseless block of wood, callous to all pain, but in knowing how to open our hands, calmly letting the wind carry away the bitter words, even if they were uttered by the lips of someone we cherish. Do not stubbornly use love to justify holding on to the withered things in your heart, for true love must first begin with compassion for your own life. A tree can only stretch its green canopy to offer sheltering shade to the world if it knows how to protect its pure inner sap from the mold of overthinking.
So that the Buddha's teachings do not remain just vague philosophies resting on old pages, starting tonight, try a very simple practice of mindfulness. Whenever you receive a word that saddens you, when feelings of self-pity begin to take root in the dark corners of your mind, please do not react hastily, nor pull the blanket over yourself to cry,
and use someone else's mistake to punish yourself. Sit down gently, close your eyes, and bring your mind back to take refuge in your breath. As you take a deep breath in, imagine you are inhaling the fresh, cool air of heaven and earth to soothe your tense cells. And as you slowly exhale, visualize that sharp word as merely a withered, dry yellow leaf that has just fallen. You exhale, and that leaf gently detaches from the branch, drifting through the air before landing on the senseless ground. You do not chase after the leaf, nor do you bend down to pick it up to crush it, or ponder why it bears the color of decay. You simply remain still as a sturdy tree, patiently observing it fall, leaving it to the dissolving law of time.
If you only allow yourself such a quiet step back, the storm of overthinking will lose its source of nourishment and automatically weaken, then fade away. You will realize an incredibly liberating truth. People have the right to speak in anger due to their own inner turmoil. But whether you receive that hurt or not is your choice. That mindful silence is not a cowardly endurance, but an immense capacity, like Mother Earth, ready to tolerate the scratches of the world, but absolutely refusing to let them touch the deepest layers of her roots. Day by day, the leaves carrying toxic energy will no longer have the chance to hurt you. Instead, the soil of your inner self will be cleared, making room for the seeds of understanding and self-love to stir and sprout beneath the sun. You will walk through the upheavals of familial love, through the resentments of relationships, with a leisurely and free demeanor, not bracing yourself in resistance, but simply smiling and letting all phenomena follow their natural course.
The space tonight seems to be gently embracing all things, and I believe it is also tenderly embracing your uncertainties. If the sounds and words of An Yin Zhe Doi tonight have accidentally touched a bleeding corner in your soul, if they have helped you shake off a withered leaf pinned in your heart, please linger a little while. Treat the comment section below as a patch of soft, gentle earth where you can bravely type down the judgments and hurtful words of someone that you decide to forever let go of from tonight. Write them down to cleanse. Write them down to return those sorrows to the void, so that the soil of your soul tomorrow will have a sterile, empty space for green shoots to rise and catch the sun. And my friend, do not forget to sow another seed of wholesome connection by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel, so that we may continue to fulfill our auspicious destiny of reuniting in future journeys to cultivate our inner gardens. May the roots of your soul always plunge deep into the underground stream of mindfulness, so that no matter how many changing seasons occur out there, no matter how many storms are inattentionally uttered by the lips of the world or your most beloved ones, you will forever remain a tree standing tall, peaceful, and overflowing with vitality. I wish you a very deep sleep, gentle breaths, a light heart free from entanglements. And tomorrow, when you open your eyes and awaken, what welcomes you will be a pure, radiant morning filled with love.